Welcome to the Mental Health Advanced Directive Flash Training Overview. Let's jump in. This training is about a very helpful tool in mental health care called a Mental Health Advanced Directive, or MHAD for short. An MHAD is a legal document that lets people plan ahead for their mental health treatment. It's used when someone may not be able to speak for themselves or make decisions during a mental health crisis. Mental health conditions can sometimes cause confusion, fear, or stress that makes it hard for a person to think clearly or explain what they need. That's where an MHAD comes in. It allows a person to write down important information ahead of a potential crisis, like what treatments or medications help them or what treatments or medications they want to avoid, who they trust to make decisions on their behalf if they're unable to. The information in the MHAD can also help a person feel safer and calmer before a full crisis occurs. An MHAD does not just help the person who wrote it, it also helps the people who are trying to support them. Doctors, nurses, therapists, and crisis workers don't always know a person's history or what works best for them. An MHAD gives clear guidance to the care team so that they can make better decisions and respond in the most helpful way, especially during a mental health crisis or when providing help before a crisis. It's also important to know that an MHAD is a legal document. That means it has power. It must be taken seriously and included in a person's medical records. Care teams are expected to follow the directions in an MHAD unless there's a very specific reason why they cannot. Having an MHAD helps people stay in control of their mental health care, even during the hardest times, because it makes sure that others know how to provide support that feels right. Using an MHAD leads to good outcomes for the person and for the care provider, including a stronger, more trusting relationship with their doctor or counselor, being less likely to be forced to get help in a way that they didn't choose, a better match between medications that are wanted and medications that are received, feeling like the mental health needs of the person are being listened to and met, having fewer mental health crises, and feeling more satisfied with the help that they receive. MHADs are especially helpful for people that have mental health challenges, who have history with drugs or alcohol or a history of trauma. These and other conditions for some people can increase the likelihood that a crisis might occur, which is when an MHAD is most helpful. So if a person is wondering who are MHADs for, the answer is they're for anyone who wants to be prepared, protected, and empowered in the face of mental health challenges. Now let's break down what's actually inside an MHAD and why each part matters. An MHAD usually has at minimum two important sections that work together. The first part is advanced instructions. This section is all about writing down the person's preferences, the things they know from experience that might help them, and the things they want to avoid. This might include medications they consent to or refuse, treatments that they consent to or refuse, life responsibilities that are important to be addressed, like making sure someone checks on their kids or pets or home. These instructions are personal and powerful and help the team understand the person as a whole and give care that works best for that individual. The second part is called the healthcare power of attorney. This is where the person can name someone they trust to make decisions on their behalf. This is called an agent. Now here's something really important. Choosing an agent is completely optional. A person can still fill out an MHAD with just their advanced instructions, and that document will still be valid and helpful. But having an agent can make things go more smoothly, especially in a fast-moving situation where decisions need to be made quickly. Together, these two pieces make sure that a person's voice is still heard, even if they can't speak up themselves. And that can make a big difference in how safe, supported, and respected they feel in a mental health crisis. Under current legislation, providers are required to honor the MHADs to the fullest extent possible. That phrase, fullest extent possible, is key. It means that in general, a person's documented preferences for their mental health treatment must be respected and implemented. However, there are specific exceptions built into the law. These exceptions are safeguards. They exist to ensure that care remains ethical, legal, and safe for everyone involved. Here are the 4 conditions under which a provider may decline to follow an MHAD. First, if following the directive would violate the accepted standard of care, meaning it would go against what is professionally recognized as safe and effective treatment. In that case, the provider is not obligated to comply. If the requested treatment would violate the law, the provider must refrain. No directive can override legal statutes. If the treatment specified in the MHAD simply isn't available, whether due to facility limitations, staffing, or resources, the provider cannot be expected to deliver it. And in cases of emergency, if following the MHAD would endanger the life or health of the individual or others, the provider has the authority to act outside of the directive to protect safety. It's important to note that Washington legislature intends to communicate that failure to follow these guidelines can be grounds for a civil claim and for disciplinary action in regard to a provider's license. So, while MHADs are a powerful tool for self-advocacy and planning, it's important to understand that they operate within a framework of clinical judgment, legal compliance, and real-world feasibility. Additionally, an MHAD does not give the agent the power to admit a person to a hospital over that person's objection unless it's consented to in the MHAD ahead of time. Only a judge or certain laws can decide when a person has to be admitted against their will. The agent can help speak on the person's behalf, but they cannot make that kind of legal decision alone. However, it's important to note that in Washington state, a person can give the agent the power to admit them to a psychiatric hospital when they lack capacity, even if the person is refusing. To do this, it has to be put in the MHAD ahead of time, and the person has to have an evaluation and meet medical necessity requirements for admission. So while MHADs are powerful and important, they don't guarantee every single request will be followed. They guide care, protect a person's voice, and help avoid unnecessary harm, but within legal and medical boundaries. Next are a few resources that will be helpful as you explore the world of mental health advanced directives. To learn more about this topic, please visit the linked website to see and view the additional training topics and resources associated with the topics on this slide. Next, here are some resources related to crisis support, including the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, the Native and Strong Lifeline, and the Native Resource Hub. And here you can find a robust list of resources regarding mental health advanced directives, also known as psychiatric advanced directives in some parts of the country, resources related to the Washington law on the topic, and other national resources that will help educate you and promote best practice use of mental health advanced directives within your agency and your community. If you have questions, contact HCA at the link in this slide. Also check out the HCA MHAD webpage to be connected with these and other resources. Thank you.